Welcome back to my views and news. Breaking news for you from Ethiopia, where state of emergency has been imposed in the Amhara region of Ethiopia. What does it mean? Who has the powers to impose state of emergency in Ethiopia? And will this state of emergency proclamation be approved by the parliament too? Ethiopia has a bad record of human rights during states of emergency imposed in the past 5 to 6 years. EPRDF also imposed state of emergency, then PM Abiy's government imposed state of emergency. We'll have a detailed look at this development. What does it mean for Fano fighters, for the people of the Amhara region, for the media, for internet, for everything, because some democratic rights are suspended during state of emergency. Viewers, we know that yesterday Amhara regional president wrote a letter to Ethiopian PM Abiy. He said that this regional regular police structure was unable to meet the challenge of social, economic and security issues. So he asked the Prime Minister, the federal government, to take appropriate legal action, to implement appropriate legal framework. He was asking the federal government to impose emergency or martial law or announce the start of a major military operation. Decision was expected. That is why a meeting of federal ministers was held. Because according to Ethiopian constitution, only council of ministers can impose state of emergency. PM alone cannot impose state of emergency. That is what Article 93 of Ethiopian constitution states. So after Amhara regional president wrote a letter to the federal government, today, this morning, a meeting of council of ministers was held. PM Abiy chaired the meeting. People would say that the federal government asked Amhara president to write this letter because the federal government wants to launch a major military operation in the Amhara region. Well, Amhara regional president is not in a position to govern the region. His security structure has failed. His police militias failed. His government institutions are under the control of Fano fighters. So he is not left with any options. What options does Amhara regional president have? Only option he has is he can seek the support of federal government. He is part of Prosperity Party, Amhara Prosperity Party. He is asking PP head, PM Abiy, to take action. So Council of Ministers held a meeting where voting was held. Ministers voted and unanimously they approved the imposition of state of emergency in the Amhara region. Any ministers voted against, will try to update you in coming video. So far, it was a unanimous decision. It means that almost all of them supported the announcement. Now, if Council of Ministers imposes emergency, state of emergency, it has to be put through a resolution at House of Representatives. House of Representatives should pass this decision. They should approve this decision of Council of Ministers with 2/3 majority. I think in 2 weeks, this state of emergency proclamation will have to be approved by the House of Representatives, where 2/3 majority is needed. Can Prosperity Party, can PM Abiy's government secure 2/3 majority? That is what I have learned through some sources, that 2/3 majority is needed at the House of Representatives. If there is any change, if there is any correction, I'll update you. It means that in the next 2 weeks, this emergency proclamation will be sent to the House of Representatives. House of Representatives will hold a meeting, and there this decision will be put to vote. Voting will be held. If House of Representatives approve the decision, state of emergency will remain imposed. State of emergency can be imposed for 6 months, I think. Now, what does the state of emergency mean? It means that regular law enforcement mechanisms have failed, and now new law enforcement mechanisms are going to be put in place. It means military is going to take control of law and order situation, law and order department, because police, militia failed. So it means that now federal government, Ethiopian National Defense Force, Republican Guards, federal police, they can be deployed legally. Federal forces are now going to take over the security of the Amhara region, firstly. Secondly, we will see restrictions on freedom of speech, restrictions on access to media, restrictions on social media sites, restrictions on internet, etc. And some democratic fundamental rights are suspended when state of emergency is imposed. It means that now security forces are going to start major military operation in the region. Large scale arrests will be made. Thousands could be arrested. Maybe that is what happened when we saw states of emergency imposed in Ethiopia on the last two occasions. When Oromos and Amharas started protests against EPRDF government, Haile Mariam Desalegn, EPRDF Prime Minister, imposed state of emergency. And during the state of emergency, we saw that thousands were arrested. Media, there was a crackdown on media. People's democratic rights were not respected. Then in Tigray, when Ethiopian federal government launched a military operation, a state of emergency was imposed in Tigray. Now, same is happening in the Amhara region. It's a little less than martial law, but it is basically a martial law because military is going to call the shots. Amhara government will survive, I think. It will remain intact, but military now is going to make decisions in the Amhara region. Military means federal forces, Ethiopian National Defense Force, federal police, and other federal institutions. And obviously, federal government can deploy other regional forces too now, because now federal government has the right under the state of emergency to deploy all forces to control law and order situation in the Amhara region. What if state of emergency failed? This is the most important question, because this is what federal government had in its hands. So this is the tool that they had. They are now going to use this tool in the Amhara region. Either Amhara dissent, Amhara Fano will be crushed, or we're going to see a bigger conflict, a bigger national level conflict if this regional emergency proclamation is not fully imposed. If Fano fighters manage to survive, if ENDF is unable to control the situation, because through this state of emergency proclamation, obviously a military operation is going to start. Already started, but it is going to intensify. If this military operation fails, what is next? Martial law? State of emergency is a form of martial law, I think. I'm not an expert, but if military is in charge, it means it's a state of, it's a type of martial law. If this state of emergency fails, what is next? So what federal government had in its power, today it decided to use the power. No signs of restraint shown by the federal government. No signs that Addis Ababa government, federal government is crumbling. Yesterday I was talking to a man, staunch supporter of Fano fighters. He said Zajid Fano is going to reach Addis Ababa soon. My understanding is that PM Abiy won't go easily. He will prefer dying while fighting than surrendering, I think. Behind the Prime Minister, there is entire Oromia region. And the conflict in Amhara could unite the groups in Oromia. Those groups were at loggerheads, even they could unite. So, path to Addis Ababa is a difficult path. Yes, we could see protests, some activities there, but takeover of Addis Ababa is an uphill task. Let's see. Too early to say, but so far, federal government has refused to give in to Fano's ambitions. Today, Council of Ministers said that federal government tried to resolve the issue through dialogue. It offered dialogue. We don't know when federal government offered dialogue. I mean, regional government offered dialogue to Fano fighters. Regional government just a few days ago. This conflict in Amhara started 3 months ago. There was no offer of dialogue. When Fano fighters became strong and they started taking over cities, then Amhara government offered dialogue. Why? Because government was crumbling. And federal government remained silent. Federal government did not make any constructive and visible effort to talk to Fano fighters. So, Council of Ministers claim that government tried to resolve the issue through dialogue peacefully is incorrect. Government from day one has been calling Fano fighters terrorists, extremists, bandits, robbers. Government delayed, it underestimated Fano fighters' capabilities. Now, when entire Amhara region is behind, not entire, but now when thousands of Amhara people are behind Fano fighters, government says that it tried dialogue. No, it did not. Here I would disagree with government's position. No serious efforts were made to talk to Fano fighters. Now when Fano fighters are strong, they are being contacted for dialogue, they are not interested. And now state of emergency. Military is going to now launch big operations across Amhara region, airstrikes, drone strikes, large-scale arrests, crackdown on media, crackdown on freedom of expression, freedom of speech. That is going to happen in the Amhara region. Hard times ahead for Ethiopia, for Amhara region-based groups, for businesses in Amhara. The region will suffer and Ethiopia will suffer just out of a war. Ethiopia, its economy is in crisis. Now another crisis. Crisis after crisis. Ethiopian economy, can it withstand the effects of these crises? We'll see in coming months. Let's see how this state of emergency is implemented in the Amhara region. Thank you for watching.